From the Frank Beck Chevrolet Studio Annex, this is Time Out Overtime on the Time Out Overtime YouTube channel. I'm your host, Rick Arsenal. Before you do anything, please get down there in the corner, smash that like and subscribe button. As always, I'll thank you ahead of time. Thanks. It's been about 48 hours now since the, as you all know by now, the devastating injury to Aiden Hutchinson. We'll talk about that. I'll talk about the game itself, who I think deserves a game ball. And Lions right now are preparing for the Minnesota Vikings, a trip to Minnesota on Sunday. Red Wings lost last night to a better team in the Rangers, I thought. But I know it's only 3 games. I'll talk a little bit about that, what I think after looking at just 3 games. But Michigan State get back to work this weekend. Scott Harris had an end of the season press conference yesterday. I think it was interesting in what he had to say. We'll try to condense all of that into the next 20 minutes. So I'll do my best. If the voice holds up, everything else. Let's do this. Okay, there we go. You know, folks, the colder weather is already here. It's really closer than we want it to be. Well, now it's here. I know we've got some 70s coming in next week, but it's here. It's closer than you want it to be. Anyway, it's on its way. And that's where the service department at Frank Beck Chevrolet says now is the perfect time to make an appointment to make sure your vehicle is ready for the winter weather ahead. Let them check the strength of your battery, your belts and hoses, wiper blades, antifreeze, and more. Plus, now's the perfect time to get in and get that new set of tires so you don't go skipping and sliding down the highway. And if you don't think your car will make it through another rough Michigan winter, let the sales pros at Beck's help you find a vehicle for all seasons. You know, the 2025s are rolling in pretty much every day out of the lot now, so their selection is tops. You check out their inventory on their webpage at frankbeckchevy.com, or better yet, stop by the dealership on M99 between Hillsdale and Jonesville and let them help you experience the Frank Beck difference. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. 517-849-2886. Let's drive. Chevrolet together. Where to start here? There's always, you want to say the Lions are a snake bit franchise, whatever. Things were going along just swimmingly on Sunday, and then, of course, Hutch goes down with this devastating broken leg. The good news right up front is the operation was a complete success. He's got a lot of hardware in his leg right now. Eventually that will come out. The hardware will assist in the healing of the leg. The leg will be immobilized for a certain period of time. He's looking at a lot of rehab. But like I said, the good news is toward the end of next July, he'll be fine and ready for training camp. I guess now, if you're a Lion fan, the more relevant situation or news right now is the present. What to do now without him? Obviously, the obvious question is now to the look. He was their best defensive player, leading the league in sacks and pressures. Obviously their best defensive player. He was in line more than likely to become the NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Just a shame, really. The more immediate question, I suppose, is where do you go from here? What do you do now? Well, first of all, you may or may not have noticed they are a 2.5-point underdog going into Minnesota on Sunday. If he hadn't got hurt, I think they'd probably be favored. As it is, the home team automatically gets 3 points. Last I looked, like I said, Vikings were favored by about 2.5, so they're not even getting their 3 points. So essentially what Vegas is telling you, this is a pick 'em. Trade deadline is 3 weeks from today. Do I expect the Lions to make an earth-shattering move? No. If you haven't heard, the Las Vegas Raiders earlier today have traded Devontae Adams to the Jets, where he gets reunited with his old buddy Aaron Rodgers. A little earlier, pardon me, the Cleveland Browns have traded Amari Cooper to the Buffalo Bills. And they really didn't have to give up. Bills didn't have to give up much of anything to get him either. As far as the Jets, I think they gave up a conditional third-round pick. Are they? I do think Brad Holmes at least has the obligation. I say obligation to make a phone call to both Las Vegas and Cleveland to ask about Max Crosby and Myles Garrett. Won't hurt that. All they could do was say no. Now, apparently, Adam Schefter reported earlier this summer the Raiders were offered a first-round pick for Crosby, and I don't know if that was it or not. And they said no, they turned it down. But if he hasn't already, I think Brad Holmes has an obligation to at least make an inquiry on both these players. I don't after hearing Dan Campbell on his show with the flagship this morning. I don't expect them to make any earth-shattering moves. I guess the trade they've got 21 days. Trade deadline is 3 weeks away yet. Problem here is, look, if they lose Sunday, you can pretty much forget about the winning the NFC North this year. They would be 4-2, and the Vikings would be 6-0. So essentially, they would be 3 games behind the Vikings. Why do I say 3? Because the Vikings, if it comes down to head-to-head, the two teams are tied. Now, they do play the Vikings the last game of the year at Ford Field. But as of right now, you're 4-2, they're 6-0. They've also got the tiebreaker because they won the game head-to-head with you. In other words, if the two teams were to finish tied at the end of the year, the first tiebreaker is what transpired in the 2 games that you played one another in this season. So really, this is a 3-game switch. Like if you lose, you're essentially 3 games behind them. If you win, you're actually ahead of them because now both teams are 5-1, and the Lions, by virtue of the win, would have the tiebreaker. So normally it's a 2-game switch in a game like this, but now it's 3. That's how important this game is. Another thing, I don't like the fact that the Vikings are coming off a bye. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. I think the Lions just came off a bye, and I think that helped them that they had 2 weeks to prepare for the Cowboys. I think it makes a huge difference. In fact, I think that if there was some way the NFL could work it out where teams would have a bye in the same week, and coming off the bye, they'd be playing one another. In other words, if you're coming off a bye, you haven't played for 2 weeks, the team you're playing is also coming off a bye. I'm sure there'd be some way they could work that out with the schedule. Otherwise, I think it's a big advantage to have 2 weeks to prepare for any team. Anyway, Sunday, the Lions 47-9 victory over the Cowboys. Where to start? If you haven't heard too, by the way, prior to the game Sunday, the Lions did announce that David Montgomery has been given a 2-year contract extension. He's good now through 2027. And what a runner, huh? What a run. What a tandem we've got at running back. By the way, if you hadn't heard, Dak Prescott's passer rating for Sunday, I don't ever remember seeing a rating this low. 42.2. If you want to look at the other end of the scale, a perfect passer rating, I believe, is 158.3. 42.2. I don't ever remember seeing a passer rating this low. What? What did the Lions have? 5 turnovers, 500 yards of offense, game balls. I'm going to give one to Jared Goff, who had 350 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, a near perfect passer rating of 153.8. So the Seattle game, he did have a perfect passer rating of 158.3. This time around, he's got a near perfect rating of 153.8. I gave another game ball to David Montgomery, 80 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. I gave another one to Jameson Williams, 3 catches, good for 76 yards and a touchdown. I think Tim Patrick deserves a game ball. 3 catches for 68 yards. I gave another one to Brian Branch, 2 picks, 5 tackles, and one more to Jake Bates for making all 4 field goal attempts. Pardon me, all 5 field goal attempts. No. What do we have? Yeah, 4 field goal attempts and 5 extra points. That was it. Yeah, Jake Bates was perfect. He made 5 extra points in all 4 of his field goal attempts. I gave him a game ball too. So, yeah. So there's been some talk. Can the Lions get there without Hutch and without making some kind of an earth-shattering deal? I don't think they're going to make an earth-shattering deal. I don't think they're going to get either Max Crosby or Myles Garrett. Like I said, just listening to Dan Campbell this morning, if you read between the lines, he gave no indication they were going to do anything earth-shattering, make any kind of an earth-shattering deal. It's just not happening at this point. And by the way, the Lions, I think their biggest challenge now will come from the other 3 teams in their division. This schedule is tough. It's brutal. They're at Minnesota Sunday. They come home for, if you want to say, a gimme against the Tennessee Titans. And they're back on the road for games at Green Bay and Houston. It's a tough schedule. And, but before Hutch went down, I thought they were going to go 13-4. Well, I don't think that's happening now, but we'll see. 21 days between now and the trade deadline. It's not Brad Holmes' MO, though, to do anything earth-shattering or give away high draft picks or sell the farm or anything like that. They did take an edge off of the Bengals practice squad earlier today. A fellow by the name of Isaiah Thomas. Big deal, right? I don't look for the Lions to do anything earth-shattering. I think they're just going to keep the cards they got and see what they can do. If that's the case, look, do they have the best offense in the NFC? Yes. They'll have to outscore the other team. They're looking at a lot of track meets, entertaining games, of course, but they are number 1 right now in the NFL in scoring offense. They'll have to maintain that. I think they can still make the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to win this division, and I don't think they're going to get to New Orleans, and that's just unfortunate. I'll have more on this situation if anything develops on Thursday. Quickly before we do this, the Red Wings lost last night to the Rangers 4-1. They've only played 3 games now, but I don't like what I'm seeing. They were 0 for 4 on the power play. Are the Rangers a better team? Of course they are. They got to play them again Thursday night here at Little Caesars. And if they don't make the playoffs this year, and right now, I'm sorry, I know it's only 3 games, but this doesn't look like a playoff team to me. It just doesn't. I think Lalone is done after this year if he doesn't make the playoffs. Oh, I don't think he deserved it. I don't think he's given what happened last year. I don't think he deserved to come back this year, but he's here. If I were Steve Yzerman, I'd tell him, look, you don't make the playoffs this year, you're all done. Anyway, Michigan coming off a bye will play at Illinois on Saturday. That's a loss. Michigan State coming off a bye will play here at Spartan Stadium against Iowa. That's a loss. Uh, Anybody that saw that Ohio State-Oregon game the other night, very entertaining game, but if you're a Buckeye fan, you will argue maybe they probably should have won. Anyway, they lost by 1 point. I have not seen the national rankings. I should have checked those before we came on. But anyway, let's do this. What are the good word for a good man? Tim Lindley at Quality PC in downtown Hillsdale, 37 Waldron Street, just a couple hundred feet west of Howell. For all your technical needs, sales and service, get in there and see Tim Lindley. Anything at all. Computers, new or used. Name of the computer you have now, it needs a little work done on it. Large flat screen TV that needs mounted programming setup. That's right up his alley. Maybe you're changing internet providers and you need internet installation. And there you go. That's Tim. Whether it's new or used, anything at all, get in there and see Tim. Probably one of the nicest men you'll ever meet. 37 Waldron Street, downtown Hillsdale, 517-610-5372. Or better still, get in there and see him at 37 Waldron Street. When you do, tell him Mickey and I sent you. Will you please? Thank you. Quick word on the Tigers. Scott Campbell. Scott Harris. Scott Harris had his end of the year press conference yesterday, touched on a number of things. Javier Baez will be in camp in February. And I think right now, I think it looks like he'll be a platoon out there with Trey Sweeney. But he definitely is coming back. And I'm sorry to hear that. He did mention that they need to add a right-handed bat. Third base is a position that will be addressed. Keep one thing in mind, 30-year-old Alex Bregman, who has already tweeted his goodbye to the Houston Astros fans, has a relationship with A.J. Hinch. I think he's 30 years old, give him a 3 or 4 year deal. He'd be the perfect guy to bring in here and play third base. There's your right-handed bat you're looking for, Scott. As far as first base, what he said about Spencer Torkelson is that, it's no secret he's had a turbulent year. He's maintained faith in Torkelson having a promising future, but also he did acknowledge first base as an area where the Tigers need to improve overall production. Well, no kidding, because they sure haven't gotten much from either corner position this past year. And the fact that they got as far as they did is nothing short of a miracle. In fact, I doubt very much they're going to get back there again next year. We'll see what they do in the offseason. He did acknowledge they need to bring in another starting pitcher. Well, no kidding. How about bringing Jack Flaherty back? There's one other, too. He's Corbin Burns will not be coming back to the Orioles. He's out there, but you're not going to get him a couple of Orioles who are free agents. Outfielder, pitcher Corbin Burns, former Cy Young winner, and outfielder Santander, I believe he's a switch hitter. Both those guys are going to make a lot of money this coming winter. And to get either one of those guys, you'd have to get involved in a bidding war, more than likely with the Dodgers or the Yankees. So we'll see. And anyway, that's what Scott Harris had to say yesterday. They need a right-handed bat, starting pitcher. And Baez will be back in camp. I think this whole thing will play out in spring training. And he did acknowledge that they will be spending some money this year. So let's just see what he means by that. Anyway, the winter meetings, I believe, are the first week in December. I think so. I think they are. And one last thing, too, if you haven't heard as far as the playoffs go right now, the NLCS and the ALCS, The Mets and Dodgers are headed back to Citi Field in New York, all tied up at one game apiece. The Yankees pretty much had their way with the Guardians last night. What was the final score in that game? 5-2, I believe. So they're one game up. Game 2, I believe, is tonight. It is tonight on TBS. That's going to do it for our show. Obviously, if anything happens with the Lions finding a replacement for Hutch, we'll fill you in on that on Thursday. Don't forget, as always, Saturday morning here locally on 92.1 FM WCSR with Andy and Jed on the Timeout Show. And as I said, I will talk to you all on Thursday. So until then, remember, please treat each other with respect. Have a good rest of your evening, and so long, everybody.